Hello everybody, welcome to my research presentation screencast for EMAT 689. Today we're going to be looking at reading assessments in the 5th grade classroom. So in Georgia, the standards for language arts are all together. However, we're just looking at reading today. So the skills that 5th grade students should be able to do by the end of the year, or we hope to do, are they should be able to quote accurately from a text and explain what that text says. They should be able to draw inferences from it, determine the theme of it, and they should be able to summarize the text. Now, when we're talking about text, we're talking about anywhere from a graphic novel to a myth to a drama to a short story. So anywhere in between what we would consider a text. Students should also be able to determine the meaning of words and phrases. This includes academic words and general domain-specific words. Students should also be able to compare and contrast stories within the same genre, and they should be able to explain relationships between ideas or concepts. So, what should an assessment look like? Assessments should not simply be judged by how much students know. They should also show the students' knowledge and understanding. By doing this, we as teachers are able to help students learn better. They should take into account individual strengths and weaknesses of students. And lastly, they should follow the classroom assessment cycle. The cycle goes like this. First, learning targets are clarified. As we are teaching, the evidence we gather is done in a variety of ways, so we don't use just one way, we use a variety of ways to gather evidence. We should be able to find and make inferences, We should be able to analyze the data, and we should be able to interpret. Lastly, we should be able to create instructional plans and modifications based off the data we receive. So, what are some questions we can make regarding reading and assessments? The three that I came up with were this. What does an assessment look like in an upper elementary reading classroom? What type of assessment should be used? And what should student performance and proficiency look like? So let's start with student performance and proficiency. Currently, we mark student performance and proficiency in 3 ways. Proficiency, curriculum, and assessment practices that are aligned with state-mandated standards and tests. We looked at the standards earlier, and those are, again, the Georgia State Common Core standards. And the tests, as we all know, are standardized tests. In our case, it would be the Georgia milestones. There's a push for use of research and scientific-based reading programs and assessment tools. Now, from those research and scientific-based reading programs, there should be 5 main areas of effective reading instruction. Phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Student proficiency and performance also has 3 fundamental qualities. It should be instructional and stimulating to students. It should be realistic in task. And it should provide a public record of student tasks. So what does an accurate assessment look like for reading? So we should have formative assessments. These assessments alert teachers to reading levels of individual students. Then we should have summative assessments, which provide a summary of a skill area or overall reading level. The data should be informational and used to guide decision-making purposes. When it comes to performance, we look at these factors. We look at the statement of prior knowledge, meaning what do students know before we introduce a skill. We should search for resources and ideas. Drawing, writing, so can students write and draw out what they are reading, and can they use their skills that they're learning to draw and to write? Are they reading to be able to problem solve? And then we have to look at 2 types of comprehension. We have informational text, so our nonfiction text, meaning magazines, newspapers, those sorts of texts. And then we have our narrative text comprehension. So that's going to be your myths, your folk tales, your short stories, your poetry, and your longer works like novels. So here are some assessment ideas. So formative assessments would be observation of students by teachers, teachers conducting student interviews, detailed retellings, meaning students should be able to read and then give you a detailed retelling of that exact story. Teachers should keep a checklist of skills and running records. So that would be kind of our data and our data analysis. So teachers should be able to have an individual checklist of these are the skills that students have, these are the skills they need to learn, and they should be over the course of the year and along the year be able to have a record that says that they've met those skills or they're still working on their skills. Word webs and story maps are also ideas of formative, meaning again, they alert teachers to reading levels of individual students. Now our summative is going to be individually administered assessments. So if you're thinking about our RTI process, one of the more common forms of assessment is having students reading individually to a teacher and then doing a retelling. We have our formal group assessments. We have our teacher-made test, and we have our performance assessments. So one idea from a performance assessment that can kind of go in a summative or a formative is a reading portfolio. Now to note, the idea of standardized tests goes into these formal group assessments. Students have to take them at the end of the year. And again, they provide a summary, or they should provide a summary of a skill area or overall reading level. However, there are some things to keep in mind. Tests, both teacher-made and standardized, may not be accurate in measuring students' ability to read. They should not be the only tools of assessment. Why, you say? There are many factors that play in the student's ability to quote-unquote perform well on tests, and sometimes those factors are out of the hands of the teachers. An assessment used should ideally follow the classroom assessment cycle. Formative assessments may actually be more accurate and may be a better way to track students' reading progress than a standardized test. So I would like to thank everybody for watching my screencast today. Here is my works cited page, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thank you.